What could be more American than the person who sees something they've never done before, dreams they could do it, goes after that dream? Well, let's begin today with a woman who dreams of directing a play in the small town where she lives, a college town somewhere below the Mason-Dixon line in the hills of Appalachia, a town which will remain for our purposes today unnamed.
I don't think she had ever directed, and she claimed to have acted, and it was never really quite clear just what her credentials were. But she had managed to convince the local theater department of this college that she should direct a production of Peter Pan.
When he was in the 10th grade in 1973, Jack Hitt saw her production. And like everybody else in town, he heard about it for weeks beforehand.
Slowly but surely, you began to hear, sort of rumors about this production. For example, I know that they had spent a lot of money renting these flying apparatuses out of New York. And apparently there's like one company and a handful of these apparatuses. And so to get them was a major coup.
This is a story not just of a mediocre play or a terrible play. When it comes right down to it, it's not even a story about a play. This is a story about a fiasco and about what makes a fiasco. And one ingredient of many fiascos is that great, massive, heart-wrenching chaos and failure are more likely to occur when great ambition has come into play, when plans are big, expectations great, hopes at their highest.
And what you have to understand is that everybody in this sort of community understood that there was certainly a sort of air of everyone sort of reaching beyond their own grasp. Every actor was sort of in a role that was just a little too big for them. Every aspect of the set and the crew. And rumors had sort of cooked around. There was this huge crew. There were lots of things being painted.
See, but this, in fact, is one of the criteria for greatness, is that everyone is just about to reach just beyond their grasp, because that is when greatness can occur.
That's right. That's right. And maybe greatness could have occurred.
Well, today on our program, what happens when greatness does not occur? What happens, in fact, when fumble leads to error, leads to mishap, and before you know it, you have left the realm of ordinary mistake and chaos, and you have entered into the more ethereal, specialized realm of fiasco. Today's show, Fiascos, a philosophical inquiry, perhaps the first ever, as far as we know, into what makes a fiasco, what takes our ordinary lives that extra distance into fiasco. Well, from WBEZ Chicago, This American Life, I'm Ira Glass. Today's program in 4 acts. Act 1, opening night. Act 2, a fiasco involving a village, marauding Visigoths, a 1,900-pound brass cauldron, and some oil. Don't even ask. Act 3, Car Wars. The true story of how putting NPR's show Car Talk on the air in Wisconsin led not just to hundreds of angry letters from listeners, not just to a protest rally, not just to a monthly newsletter devoted to the scandal, but eventually a state audit and state hearings by the legislature. Act 4, Fiascos is a force for good in this world. We begin our show with this true fable of Peter Pan in Act 1, opening night.
Opening night comes, and almost everybody in the area, in the 10-mile radius of this theater, knows somebody in this production, so the place is pretty much packed. And I don't know if you remember the opening moment of Peter Pan, but it's the 3 little kids sleeping in their bed, and Peter Pan comes flying in the window. And in this particular production, there's a big bed with all the 3 kids in it. And off to the left, I remember, is a big, huge wardrobe, and there's a large window there and a little bureau. And Peter Pan comes in and, and has the little speech where he says, anybody can fly. Why, with just a little magic dust, one can fly. And Peter Pan sort of sprinkles this magic dust in the air. And sure enough, the kids sort of suddenly just lurch into the air. And it becomes clear right away that the people that they've hired to run these flying apparatuses really aren't quite clear on how they actually work. So instead of the kids sort of sailing, gracefully to and fro, they sort of hang in the air like puppets, just sort of dangling there and sort of getting jerked up an inch or two or back and forth. And
then sometimes they're just stationary, just
hanging there like a spider. And then several of them start to sort of circumscribe these circles in the air, where it's clear that the people running the machines have just sort of set them off on these kind of oval courses that spiral farther and farther out. And if you're sitting in the audience, there was clearly a sense of fear on the faces of these people.
Of the actors.
The actors actually, you could sense their lack of confidence, shall we say, in the people running the machines in the back. So
wait, and the audience reaction to this point is just, are they laughing?
No one is laughing. Everyone. Now, this is one of the great things about audiences, especially in a live theater production, is that they're very forgiving. They want the show to work, and so everyone is sort of gripping their chair a little tightly.
Right.
We feel for them.
Right.
They're up there. They're embarrassing themselves for us.
We identify with them.
Right.
We are become them.
And so the audience, I think, was very forgiving and very understanding of this moment. But there was one moment that in this first opening scene that kind of put the audience on notice. And that's when, as the kids are sort of jerking up and down and swinging back and forth and sort of going around in these ovals, at one point, the littlest one, the little boy, is sort of being flung around a little too a little too hard. And,
he has the least mass to resist whatever the machinery is doing to him.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and
so he's flying around in this circle, and the audience sort of sees this coming, and there's a real sense of pain and gripping of the chair and white knuckleness as the kid suddenly does an enormous splat into the wardrobe. I mean, and it's clear that he's hurt, and he comes off of it sort of, a little dazed. And then, of course, he's jerked up in the air a little bit, and often a little too high, so that he's suddenly sort of in the workings. He sort of left the stage itself. He's now up there with the lights, and then all of a sudden he just sort of suddenly he would just plummet back down to the stage and be caught up just before he hit the floor, and it was hard to watch because, as you can tell, it's an incredibly funny moment, but like I say, the audience was still in this very forgiving mode, and no one said a word. We just all sat there, sort of holding our breath. And there's that weird tension of being in the audience thinking, oh my goodness, they have gotten off to a very bad start. Oh, this is not good.
Right.
And we feel for them.
May I just interrupt for just a moment? Just to say now at this point, because after all, we are not just joined here together on the radio, you and I today, to laugh at the foibles of the unfortunate. No, we're here to enumerate the qualities of a fiasco. At this point, we are not yet in the territory of fiasco.
No, because like I say, audiences are forgiving, and they, one or two mistakes, even big ones like this, they're going to let that ride.
Yes, they are.
We did. We were very good, and
so we are not yet at fiasco. We are at a sort of normal level of mishap.
Right.